Do other people fear you? Some men have a presence so strong they intimidate without even trying. I'm not talking about the guys who put on a fake alpha male act or talk a big game. No, this is something deeper, a quiet, controlled aura that makes others stand back. It's the kind of energy that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Here's the reality. Men who are truly intimidating never think about being intimidating. In fact, they're often surprised when others tell them they are. So, as we go through these 8 signs, ask yourself, do any of these sound familiar? You might have a stronger presence than you realize. Number 1. Eyes of conviction. The first sign you have a strong personality is in your eyes. A man's conviction is seen in his eyes long before he ever speaks a word. This is why most guys carry the aura of a worm. They lack purpose and are drifting through life aimless and unsure. You can see the emptiness in their eyes. Think back to the pandemic during COVID. The pressure was on, fear was everywhere, and NPCs lined up to follow orders without question. But some men stood out, those who refused to follow blindly. If you looked closely, you'd see it. Their eyes held something different. While 99% of people lined up for triple boosters without a second thought, these men held their ground. They weren't swayed by pressure. They had conviction in their eyes, a strength that went beyond muscle, beyond words. You see, it doesn't matter if a man weighs 300 pounds of pure muscle, if he lacks conviction in his eyes, his presence is weak. This is why fake alpha males fail to command respect. They pump up their chest and try to intimidate others with invisible lat syndrome, pathetic. Real presence is internal, a quiet fire in your eyes that tells everyone you're rooted in purpose and unyielding. It's not a front, it's conviction that can't be imitated. This kind of conviction is scary to people because it means you can't be shaken from your path. Not by anyone, not even by the devil himself. There is a quote that goes, "The devil loves a man with no direction, for he'll follow any road that comes his way. But the man with conviction is a hard man to sway." He's a threat to the devil himself. And it's real. Once you've found your purpose, your eyes say everything. People see it and instinctively know they can't shake you. Number 2. You possess the ability to read others, beyond their words. Can you read people? The most powerful men possess a rare weapon, the ability to read others. You see, anyone can talk a bunch of crap. It's easy to spit out words that others want to hear. But reading people is about decoding their silence as much as their words. It's about seeing true intent, spotting motives, deception, and agendas that most people overlook. When you can read people, they feel it, and it rattles them. Psychopaths, sociopaths, manipulators, liars, and narcissists all depend on secrecy and control. But when they sense you're onto them, their power fades. You become a threat, the one person they can't fool. This skill doesn't just make you aware, it makes you dangerous. It's the reason why high-ranking military leaders are trained to master it. Now, I've studied this for years and might create a full guide on it soon so you can read a man with a single look. But for now, just remember, your ability to read others makes even the biggest psychopaths tremble. Number 3. You've been scarred by life. Scars are the third sign of a strong and intimidating personality. All your battle scars, physical or metaphorical, are part of who you are. They make you seasoned, and it's not something people who grew up in comfort can relate to. Imagine you grew up in a rough neighborhood, seeing violence firsthand, maybe even getting your own hands dirty in fights. Your energy will be completely different from someone who has never experienced struggle or conflict. Even if you're at peace now, the presence of those battle scars remains with you. And if things were to go sideways, you would be ready for the smoke because you've already seen the worst life can throw at you. That's a power most can't match. Number 4. Comfortable with silence. Most guys are babbling fools. They're so uncomfortable with silence that they scramble for small talk, desperate to fill the gaps. They think silence is awkward, but in reality, it's a sign of strength and presence. You see, a man who is comfortable with silence isn't afraid to just be. He doesn't need to speak to validate his existence or fill the air with meaningless chatter. His presence is enough, and that is what makes him intimidating. While others drown in their own noise, he stands calm and composed, knowing that real power doesn't need to be constantly projected. And if he does decide to speak, It's minimal words with maximum impact. Number 5. You walk with death, rare. This sign is rare, but it sets certain men apart. Some walk with death. These men aren't depressed or suicidal, they simply hold no fear of the end. They understand one brutal truth: death is coming, and running from it doesn't change a thing. In fact, the only way to live fully is to walk with death. Even the Stoics lived by this. They called it memento mori, which translates into, remember you will die. Most people are terrified of death. They cling to safety, afraid of what's inevitable. They can't even talk about it without flinching, much less face it head-on. But men who walk with death, they're different. Their calm under pressure isn't some forced act. It's the confidence of someone who has accepted what everyone else tries to avoid. They don't waste time on trivialities or get sidetracked by fear.
No.
6. You willingly put yourself through suffering. The man who puts himself through discomfort every day intimidates those around him. Most people are slowly suffocating in a comfort crisis, soft, fragile, avoiding anything that challenges them. But here's the truth: we are built for pressure. We're designed to thrive in extremes, not to sit back and let life pass us by. So when you choose discomfort, you're living the way you were meant to, full of power, full of life. Number 7. You don't care about opinions. The biggest aura killer is caring about what others think. The best men have zero regard for others' opinions. They may listen to genuine feedback, taking in what's useful and discarding the rest, but that's as far as it goes. Number 8. You have an air of mystery. The best men have an air of mystery around them. This doesn't mean you should act like the Sigma male dorks you see online. No, it means you don't overshare or make your life an open book. You leave people guessing.